The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, this is Claudia Johnson. We are going to start our last lesson for the series. Thank you everybody for attending. And today Jessica and Alex from A to J Author are here. So Alex, do you want to take it away for the last student-led lesson?
Can I jump in? This is Jessica.
Yeah.
So my apologies, I'm calling in just by phone today, but I'm sure Claudia and Alex can help me out if there are any questions that I can't see. So today's session was just about repeat loops and advanced logic and tips and tricks from our more experienced authors, which I didn't even plan for the tricks part on Halloween here, but that worked out really well. So we also had you do the sample exercise, which included a short hot docs to automate a one-page, just a simple document that had different components to it, and then to match that hot docs part to the A to J part, I'd actually craft a guided interview to go with your hot docs template, and then practice test assembly. So kind of a culmination of everything that you've done through the past 6 weeks, and then putting it together with an A to J guided interview. So the video itself is pretty self-explanatory, and I hope that the sample exercise was fairly clear in the instructions. But I'm open for questions, or if anyone wants to demo part of their interview or their documents that they worked on. I can't see if any hands are raised, so Claudia or Alex, if you could let me know if there are any questions or anyone that wants to discuss. Also, time if you have questions about A to J in general, we're open for it, or I can answer some hot docs ones too if you need.
Jessica, we only have Joseph and Nancy,
Okay.
so we have 2 students, but they're both muted. I could unmute them both to make
Okay,
it
yeah,
more
if you want to, and then
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to belabor the point if they don't have any questions. So if we can, if you just want to unmute them, and then we can ask them if they have questions. Not.
Yeah, I've unmuted both of them.
Okay. Hi, Joseph and Nancy. Thank you for coming to our last session. Do you guys have any questions about A to J or about the process in general? I feel like I'm running a radio call-in show here. You might have to unmute yourself manually. Claudia unmuted you as an organizer, but sometimes you have to unmute yourself as well. Or you can type a question into the chat box or the comments, and we can read it out too if you don't have the microphone.
Well, I didn't get finished the whole process. I kind of was just starting the A to J thing. I was behind this week when the call came up. No.
Yeah, no worries. As always, if you send it on the next week or so or whatever, you feel free to email me, just jessica@cali.org, CALI.org. And I'm happy to help with it. I can also share the finished version of the interview. I can email it if you want to look at it, and I have the hot docs part of it as well on my laptop that I can share later today or tomorrow if you want it.
Okay, yeah, I finished the hot docs portion. I was just getting into the A to J first part. So.
Well, that's the fun part. If I'm completely unbiased, I was working from A to J, but that's the fun part.
I'm sure it is. But if you could send that to me, that would be great.
Sure. I'll make a note of that. I'll send it to the whole group on that the group email so that everybody has it if anyone's listening to this recording later. Joseph, Nancy, you guys have any other questions related to A to J or these projects? Claudia and I have both worked on this for several years, and so has Alex. So we have time too if you have questions about getting started or anything like that.
As I was just jumping in, I see that Joseph has no questions for us.
Okay.
There's no questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, we just covered the very basics of authoring. There's a lot of other things and knowledge and prior experiences that are helpful when doing a project, and we didn't cover any of that here. So as you work on the project and you want to learn about more advanced, like for example, we didn't talk about LHI integrations with case management systems. We didn't talk about LHI Connect, which is a new feature that lets people share documents to write documents together, either in queues of attorneys or with remote asynchronous review by staff in other places. We didn't talk about any of that, and we didn't talk about language, how to get interviews into other languages and planning for language access. We didn't talk about staging pages. We didn't talk about evaluation and evaluation data that you can collect to see the impact of the forms. So as you guys and in your teams, you're working on the project, if these other things come about that are related to an online form project, feel free to reach out, because we want to make sure that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if there's strategies and materials that another state has created, that you have access to those if they were TIC funded, because then you can maybe piggyback on that. The other thing is that we didn't spend a lot of time on testing, and testing of templates before they come on LHI is super important. And Michigan had shared with us a little while ago some of their testing templates and protocols. So, you know, with testing, if you tested with the persona idea, right? Like you're testing putting different hats, and then you have a script that your testers are doing. A very organized systemic testing of forms will help you create and release a better product than if it's just like, hey, here's the URL, go test it. So I just wanted to, Jessica, if you don't have anything else, just to share on the screen some of the sample testing logs, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah. The last thing is just 2 recommendations from me. I highly recommend attending any of the trainings, like the monthly webinars that the A to J team and the LHI team put on. Even if you're not working on a project right at that moment, it might trigger something later on when you are working on a project to go back and, oh yeah, I saw the training about that, let me go watch the video. And it's also good to just stay, sorry about the noise, to stay involved with the community if you don't have an active project. And then the last thing on that is just to join the listservs. The one LHI runs for document assembly developers, and the LSN TAP one, the Google group. Both of those are great ways to ask questions of people who have been doing it, and we're all pretty responsive about answering, or to figure out cool new technologies, and to keep updated on all of the webinars that are going on, or funding opportunities, or conferences. It's a great way to stay involved in the community. And thank you all, and feel free to email me whenever you have questions. All yours, Claudia.
Yeah, so I put on the chat box a video. I put on the chat box a video on testing templates, and that we did. It's a little dated, it's on 2011, so it's still a Hot Docs 10, but it goes through how to test and coming up with a testing plan and stuff like that. So I encourage you guys to check that out, or if you have questions about setting up testing groups, like testing for blind people or whatever. A lot of states have done specific testing for disability communities and stuff like that. So there's material we can share, but what I wanted to show you, which it's not rocket science, but trying to share here, camera. In Michigan, when they were testing their very successful forms, they had volunteer law students and clerks and people from different parts that were going to be involved some way or another on the form, and they gave them a script. And so as they were testing, this is for the child support interview, you know, they were very organized in in the format that everybody was you know, what parts of the interview they were going through, and every tester submitted for every time, and so this made their quality, you know, going back and revising the interviews really helpful. And they had one for each template. I have seen other states do this also, where you give the, and some people put this on a Google Doc, so that your whole testing team can have access and see what other people are finding. But if you give people a template how to report the problems to you, it will make your testing and the work for your developer, if you guys are the developers, a lot easier than getting an unstructured paragraph. Oh, it was fine until I got to the question of whatever, and it doesn't tell you exactly what in the interview it is, and you don't know what choices they've made. So just echo what Jessica said about staying involved with the community, join the calls. We record the calls. We're constantly trying to find ways that to get the forms in use. And for us, the more successful your project is, the more successful this partnership we have is. So just reach out. And when we finish this webinar, you guys are gonna get a survey. So I would really appreciate if you fill that out, and we are going to do this again, hopefully online next year. And then in January, we're gonna be planning a training the 2 first days, I think it's January 8th and 9th, to coincide before the TIG grant. So if you guys are going to TIG, you could ask your group to let you go. It's basically this training, but in 2 days. It's intense. So we're gonna do the same. We're gonna cover the same material, but we're gonna do it in person. Maybe a group of 10 to 15 people, with 2 trainers. So it's 3 trainers. So it's gonna be 2 days of intense of this. So if you guys wanna come, you're welcome to. We're gonna be sending the information soon, and we're gonna have it here if you wanna come back and see it. So I don't have anything else. I don't know if you are attendees.
Nope. I'm all good. So just thank you all for coming.
Okay. Bye. Bye, Jessica. Bye, Alex.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.